morning, everybody. This is Lorraine Ball.
And Jennifer Denny.
And today we're going to talk about blogging.
Woo, yay, good topic. Here, say hello in the chat.
Absolutely. If you're blogging, say hello in the chat. Link to your blog. Let us know where we can find the blog posts that you write.
There you go.
And, today we're not going to talk about why you need to blog. We're going to assume that if you're watching today's conversation, you already know you need to do it. What we really want to focus on is how long it takes to blog and where there are opportunities to maybe shorten that time frame a little bit.
Be efficient. So let's start with the research phase. And this came off of a blog post that you made, or a post, I should say. And I was like, you know what? She's right. Like, there's a lot of time that goes into this.
Yeah, the way I calculated it, it's 4.5 man hours, or 4 if a woman is doing it. But the truth is, the research phase, this is where you've picked a topic, and because you're not writing about what you had for breakfast, if you're really sharing relevant information, something that's new or a little different, or something that they can't find on 20 other blogs, you need to do a little homework. You need to gather your facts and put together some ideas for that post.
Yeah, and I also think about the keyword research of what is it that people are searching for, and so that can kind of gear up of what the topic is going to be about. So there's that in there. I think you estimated an hour in here.
About an hour. And so how do you short circuit this? How do you reduce the time? And I have a couple of favorite tricks. Number one, I have file folders. They used to be paper. Now they're digital. When I see an article or I hear a podcast that inspires me, that gets me thinking, I just grab the link and I shove it in this folder or in this Word document. And so then when I'm ready to do a blog post, I can go to my folder and I already have links to data, links to interesting conversations, already have a lot of those ideas kind of floating around. So now I've already done the research and I'm ready to write. And I've kind of not completely taken that down to no time, but it's 10 or 15 minutes, not an hour or two.
You separated that creative phase, because it's not like you just start a clock and be like, oh, I'm feeling like I'm being creative right now.
No, but you know what? You run into, if you're paying attention, ideas for blogs are everywhere. In your inbox, questions customers ask, conversations that you've had,
objections that sales reps have.
Absolutely. Or on the other side, when I'm kind of going down the more creative path, maybe I see a commercial, or I heard an interview one time about the decline of Toys R Us. And it was so interesting. I just saved it and found a way to use that in a blog post at some point.
Fun fact is I actually closed down Kids R Us.
Oh my God.
I was part of that.
Wow. Yeah, that was a place I spent a lot of time. Okay, so you're past the research phase and now you need to start writing.
Yep. So, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. So 600, 800 words. How long?
I think in my mind, I try not to count the words, but I try to make sure that you thoroughly cover the subject, and you need to cover it better than anybody else has covered it. So for me, the length doesn't have a particular number. It's got to be thoroughly covering the subject.
Yep. And I think that's a really good way to approach it. And I also think you want to avoid what I call the college term paper. This is what I'm going to write about. Here it is. And by the way, this is what I wrote about. Don't waste my time with that. And I see a lot of blog posts by young interns and college students who haven't done this for a long time, and they're still in that mode. That is a terrible, terrible way to approach a blog post. Now I'm going to tell you a secret before we go on. I'm not really a writer. I have spent the last 20 years of my life earning a living writing. It does not come natural for me.
You pushed it.
So what I do a lot of times is I record and I've done this for years. I record it because I'm a talker. You may have noticed that about me. And so I just sort of start talking about a topic and then either transcribe or just listen to what I just said. And when I had a larger team, I would just hand my recording over to my admin and say, before I had transcription software that was any good, here, just pull this out and put it together. And so if you're not a writer, try recording.
Yeah, that can give you like the topic too, like chunks, like everything that you would talk about on that. So, yeah, I agree. And you say that writing takes you about an hour and a half for a blog post that's at least 500 plus words.
Absolutely. And again, if you record, and again, this is my cheat, this is how I save time. I'll turn the recorder on when I'm in the car. People think I'm talking on the phone. What the hell? I don't care. And I just record this stuff and I can listen to it back and decide, was that good or not good? Re-record it. It's the same thing I do with my presentations. And then by the time I'm ready to write, I use Otter to transcribe it. It's very inexpensive and it's pretty good. And so then my writing is half an hour, not an hour, because it's just cleaning up what I've got. And I can go right into editing and SEO.
Yes, yes. So, you know, at this stage, this is where I probably struggle the most because I feel like I don't have the best, I have a good editor behind me though to help me to get on that, but I'll use words incorrectly and I don't even mean to.
Yeah, I again remember from the earlier portion of the program where I said not a writer. I am less of an editor than I am a writer. And so, again, having somebody else read what you've written. The funny thing is, even if they're not much better of a writer than you are, they're going to see things you don't see because your brain is going to read what it thinks is there, not what's really there. So if you've misspelled a word or you've used a word incorrectly, your brain isn't going to tell you that. It's going to know what your intention was, and that's what you're going to see.
That's some thinking faster than you're right.
So either get somebody else to just read it or read it backwards, word for word.
Yeah, yeah. And you say this takes about a half hour. I feel like it takes me about an hour with all the little SEO little things that I have to add in there.
So I and you know, it's going to be different for everybody. I think the better job you do of writing on the front end topics that are relevant for search engines, the easier it is. The more you let yourself get way the heck off target, the harder it is to find a connection. And I'm going to say, I don't want to do this often, and you may like shriek at me, but every now and then, if it's a really good post, if it tells a story, if it answers a question, but it's really not easy to optimize, that's okay. Yeah. Just put the content out there, share it, let people find it, and Google will index it and figure out where it fits. You can't do that all the time.
No, but you can go back and update it later too.
Absolutely.
Know? In that creative mode. So speaking of graphics.
So I think where people get tripped up is they try to create a different graphic for every single blog post. And they struggle because, well, what should this look like? And what should that look like? And this is where templates.
Branding.
They don't have to all be exactly the same, but have half a dozen styles that you use. And so when you write a post, pick one of the templates and just go in and do it. And the other thing is, if you write several blog posts, batching each of these steps. So write 3 blog posts,
Mhm.
then do SEO for 3 blog posts, then sit down and do graphics. You're not opening and closing each file. And so it's actually faster. I do that with episodes of more than a few words.
It's different sides of the brain is how I think about that too. And so
Mhm.
you need to be in different modes. Yeah. And well, if you have an agency, then you've got different people kind of going through all those if you're not
Mhm.
doing it all yourself.
Yep.
So
So, I think the trick is, again, with every step along the way, the more you can standardize your processes, the faster it gets.
yeah, yeah. It's a struggle at first, but then after you've done it a while, then it starts to become easy. It's like,
Mhm.
peanut butter and jelly.
And the last thing, sharing this puppy on social media.
Yeah, yeah. If you got to get inside of all those editors, add them all up in there. You might have to have a different ad copy there at the top on each of those and scheduling it out. So I think you say about a half hour on that as well.
Yes, and honestly, I can do it in half an hour because I use Publer, and I can access all of my platforms. I can create the post, and then I can very quickly edit the copy for the platform. So the link is the same, the picture's the same, but the text, the messaging, the length of the message is different. Whether or not I put a link, for example, if I share on LinkedIn, I don't put a link in the copy. I go back in later and put it in one of the comments because LinkedIn really hates when you
Yeah.
drive people off their platform.
Yeah, yeah. Facebook is the same thing for me. You got to go back
Mhm.
later and post that. I'm going to sneak another one into you because you didn't have this in here. I'm thinking of the time that you also need to take that blog post and you need to put it into your email marketing as well. So,
Absolutely. And again, I'm going to say working ahead, having a formula. So for example, and right now I'm doing this a lot with more than a few words. I publish the episode, I share it on social media, but the people on my email list aren't going to get the link for a week or two. And what
mm,
that allows me to do is work ahead, have
yes.
the live links that I can connect to, have the time to find other related content. Because in your newsletter, what you really want to do is tell a larger story.
Yep.
Use the blog post, but that shouldn't be the only thing in the newsletter.
Yes. Well, I know on digitaltoolbox.club, you have so many resources for email marketing because this is like your baby.
Mhm.
So if you want to go there, there's lots of tips there as well.
Absolutely. And if you really don't want to do any of this at all, while Jennifer may or may not love blogging herself, she's got an amazing team at Elevated Marketing Solutions, and she's got some spectacular writers that even I lean on for some of the stuff, some of the summary stuff, and they are good and they are fast and they are smart. So check out Elevated Marketing Solutions, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Take care.
Bye now.